Yeah, actually, we've got Randall Kona visiting Vashon today. We've been hearing all about the latest in proto mind uploading
Brain
technology and
upload.
so forth.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Where is that at now?
What's interesting now, there's a lot of technologies out there that are able to evidently reconstruct small networks of neurons within brains of various organisms, be it C. elegans or Drosophila, or even in some cases human, right? So you can reconstruct a little bit now. No one's reconstructed a whole organism's brain, but it's amazing you can do that. So actually, a lot of what we were talking about was just how do you measure if you've succeeded or not? Because we don't have a good way to do that now. So we was looking at, like, can you put together like a test system, like say a lattice, a square array of neurons, which are all just snaking out, connecting to each other, like phase synchronizing and long-term potentiating and whatnot, doing their chaotic thing. Given like a two-dimensional lattice of neurons, how many probes do you have to put into it to be able to reconstruct the dynamics of that in a simulation, right? Like presumably, if you watched every neuron, you could just do it with some fancy math, right? But if you have like 10,000 neurons and 5 probes in there, right, then
Right.
what are you really able to reconstruct? And there's
Wait, Ben. Question. Sorry, can I interrupt you for this question?
Anytime.
yeah.
So the C. elegans nervous system is all mapped out, right? So couldn't you take the C. elegans nervous? I mean, when I say mapped out, I mean like we know what all the cells are. It doesn't mean that we understand all the interactions, right?
Right.
But can't you take sort of what we know so far and look at the behavior? So, the canonical interactions with light, or probably light and vibration.
You could do that, and that's an interesting question though, because I could probably make a simulated C. elegans just by training a machine learning model on observed data of C. elegans behavior. But then what happens inside doesn't really resemble what's happening inside the
Right.
C. elegans, right? And so then
Right.
by doing that, you wouldn't learn that much about how to simulate human behavior, let alone uploading people. So yeah, you could try to take. I mean, if you simulate the whole body of the C. elegans, as well as the nervous system, you can see whether does your C. elegans do the right sort of stuff in your simulation world. And I guess we don't know how accurate you have to get the internal model to get how accurate for the observed behavior. I actually, I mean that's or you might get close enough that it looks fine to us, but wouldn't feel the same to the C. elegans.
Right, but it's sort of a start, like to have a runoff between the machine learning approach to the behavior with like black box inside. Well, not black box, but like nothing resembling, as you say, what's actually going on in C. elegans. And then the sort of bottom up, quote unquote, version based on the neurons in the body, and then having them train each other. So kind of converging.
Well, kind of like a GANs or something?
No, it wouldn't be like that. But
no.
It would almost be like reinforcement, like reinforcement learning with human feedback, except it's the feedback of the one system is feedbacking on the other with sort of like, well, this should be that. Well, what about, the behavior system, which is machine learning, that's going to have better behavior that more resembles the actual animal, can give feedback to the nervous system. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool. I think to me, the interest of working with these model organisms is mostly just to learn how to do the reconstruction, right? So simulating the behavior of a C. elegans or a fruit fly doesn't doesn't matter that much. It's more learning how. The research question that interests me a little more, although it's all interesting in general, is like, can you really reconstruct the internal dynamics of the brain network from a limited set of probes into it, right? And we don't have
any benchmarks, right, for what we're measuring. I mean, how do we know if it feels like it to it?
Right. We have that problem with humans, right?
Right. Because we can't revive one and ask.
Yeah. But I mean, I think if you had just a neural array, I mean, you could ask that question in a number of interesting senses. I mean, you could ask, does the inferred system display the same dynamical behaviors as neural arrays of that type do? You could also ask, does it emulate that exact neural array and its particular?
I feel like that's less interesting too. I think more interesting is this sort of convergence between inside and outside behavior and sort of
depends if you want to create an artificial human or you want to mind upload a specific human.
I think they feed on each other, right?
They're just different problems, right?
They're different problems, but if you learn something about one, it feels like you could learn about the other a little.
Yeah. They're the same character of problem. You probably need more probes into one system to mind upload that individual. Whereas to understand the character of the human brain as a dynamical system, you can get away with a smaller number of probes into a larger number of individuals, which is closer to what we have now, right?
Right. But it all sort of depends on whether there's sort of a non-material component to an individual's consciousness. In which case, if your material sort of electrical probes aren't going to grab onto it, report on it, unless
we don't know how that would work.
That's right, because the non-material component could influence the electricity of the
The non-material aspect could influence the neural array for that matter. If it has to do with some weird post-quantum voodoo in the way that the neuron itself operates, and that could be an interesting way to uncover that. Yeah, I mean,
if it doesn't, then there's an issue. But if it does, there's no problem with that kind of probe.
Yeah, and we just don't know, right?